I'm sure we have all seen the one kid, whether it be in the grocery store or at the restaurant or waiting in a line, who cannot live without their screen, without their phone, tablet, TV, some sort of entertainment. But what parents don't realize is that everything we do and everything we show to our children has an impact on them, especially how much time they are spending in front of that screen. And today I'm going to be talking about the impact that excessive screen time has on children, specifically socially, mentally, and developmentally, and ways that we can fix it. First, we're going to talk about socially. Giving kids a screen and a phone and a tablet and things like that reduces the face-to-face interactions that they're getting. And while many of these electronics have social media and have ways to communicate, it is changing the way that kids interact in person. It's changing their perception of these social interactions. Peer validation has become such an important part of these kids' lives, especially around like middle school age, where they're being measured by how many followers they have, how many likes they're getting, how many shares they're getting. All of it is quantifiable. And with things like Snapchat and the private messaging, kids are being peer pressured into things like sexting and maybe situations that aren't the best for them, and being exposed to things that they might not be able to fully comprehend and understand at their age level. The University of Alberta says that increased screen time correlates with behavioral issues and attention problems. They did a study with 251 kids, ages 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and 3 to 4, for a week. And they also recorded what the parents' responses were. They were measured on expression, how well they worked with others, disruption, negative behaviors like bullying and teasing, and how well they complied, how well they listened and took orders. The study showed that kids with more screen time have reduced social skills and significantly scored poorer than people who weren't exposed to as much screen time. They recommend that children under 2 get no screen time at all, and children between 2 to 4 get 1 hour max. Next, we're going to talk about mentally, what our screen time is doing to these kids in their mind. Edward Elmhurst Health says more screen time equals higher depression and anxiety. The CDC also reports that 20% of American children have reported a mental illness, and it's also confirmed to link to behavioral problems. Yale School of Medicine said that children who are exposed to screen time have the mental equivalent of adults who started drinking early. So the addiction aspect of the screen time that these kids are getting is comparable to an adult who's been drinking for a long time. Next, we're going to talk about developmentally what screen time is doing to these children. The National Center for Biotechnology Information says that these kids are digital natives. They have had no life without technology. It's been there since they grew up. There hasn't been a transition from a life without it to a life with it. In 1970, kids weren't exposed to media, social media specifically, until the age of 4. And now it has changed to the age of 4 months old. The Mayo Clinic Health says that these children are now prone to obesity and diabetes due to the excessive amount of just sitting and staring at a phone or a screen and not going outside and playing and being active like kids are meant to be. Also, the increased screen time, especially late at night, is contributing to a promotion of bad sleep habits. And with that can come increased risks of diabetes, obesity, and low immune health. It's also bad for kids' memories, which if they're learning how to speak and learning how to do all these cognitive skills, the sleep cycle is important to keep all of that stored into their brain. And when parents put a screen in front of their crying child, it might be solving that issue temporarily, and you don't have to deal with the screaming at the moment, but in the long term, you are teaching your child that it is okay to scream and cry and throw a tantrum, and then they will get rewarded with a phone or a tablet or a screen time or whatever you choose to implement in your family. So, what could we do about it? Well, we can monitor how long these kids are spending on their phones or on TVs or on screens, stuff like that. Also, cutting out background noise like background TV, all that kind of stuff is helpful to get your child to focus and pay attention onto what is going on and not all of the noises that are going on in the background. We also have to spend time with kids. We have to interact face to face, communicate with them. The best way that kids learn, especially at a young age, to learn to speak and walk and do things like that is by parents leading by example. So we want to continue to speak to them and show them how to do these things. And while it does take around 4 to 6 weeks for these things to correct themselves with these recommendations that I've just shared with you, it can be done and it should be done.